This is Trifecta Electrical Solutions podcast series, episode number 2. We already dealt with the history of the company, how you got started, why you got into it. Now I want to talk about why someone needs to call you, and you're the first call and only call if they have a project in the Edmonton area. So let's break down. You have a service department, but you also have a residential and you have a commercial side of the business.
We do.
Let's start with the residential side of the business and give us an example of, 4 or 5 things that Trifecta would do for somebody that needs some work done on the house.
Okay. I started with my own, shed the other partners or whatever. We didn't have a lot of money and I didn't have a lot of experience, but I knew that we could do kitchens and bathrooms. So we did renovations and remodels for years. It's become our bread and butter. Kitchens, bathrooms, then it grew to full main level, electrical flips and lighting, to full house renovations, to in the middle there we did basements. I absolutely love basements.
Okay.
If I could get enough basement work, I would specialize and buy a van just in that kind of space.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. You can do some really incredible things in your basement, and it for me, lighting is really, really special, and lighting is one of my favorite things in the trade. And my guys like it because they're never in the plus 30 and they're never in the minus 30. They get a pretty easy working situation and that kind of thing.
Okay.
So, but circling back to what you say with residential, so kitchens and bathrooms, then we did flips and we did then we started on brand new builds.
Okay.
Then we got into doing some duplexes. Then we got into some triplexes. We're looking at some fourplexes this year, the new model with the city rezoning. So basically anything that's residential, we've done, touched, and have experience in.
Okay. Yeah. What's one of the more interesting residential projects that you've been a part of?
I'm going to go back to the basements. I can think we did a really, really fancy basement in St. Albert 3 years ago. It was just before COVID. Yeah. 4 years ago, I guess that'd be now, right?
Yeah. Time.
But man, I know, no kidding. Boy, was it ever awesome. It was the coolest basement I'd ever seen. It had
the man cave type thing?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
There was a full pool table down there. We had specialty lighting that we worked with the homeowners on and put in there. I was in a bathroom, but it had like a dartboard area. It had a beautiful bar, capability for 2 kegs, had glowing bottle shelves and all that type of thing.
Wow.
The coolest part, it had a hidden theater room, which was all insulated. So there was a bookshelf at the end of the bar and it had books and it looked very classy. Yeah. So if you pulled on the bookshelf, it wouldn't move. But if you hit like a button on the corner of the mirror, it would release the electromagnet and you could hear it click and you could open up the door. Inside had a big, massive, large screen, had an overhead projector type of thing with surround sound, and had recessed lounge chairs. So seating of 6 could go into that room and watch a movie, or I think you could even put your Xbox and all that kind of business on it. But yeah.
Did you work quite closely with the owner on sort of his vision for the project?
Yes and no. I worked for a general contractor, but yeah, he was super collaborative because you don't
he had an idea what he wanted.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
And if I don't know, I can't deliver. So I know in the end he was super happy. Like it was one of the coolest basements I'd ever seen. There's so much you can do in a basement.
Now the commercial side of the business is something that has grown significantly for Trifecta Electrical Solutions here in the last, especially since you've taken over the company full time. So you've done a number of projects in the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
And give us an example of some of the commercial projects that you do
for
as
sure.
a company.
So we just finished 2 Wayback Burger joints. They're like it's kind of a neat concept, like a burger place, but it has a.
I've been. They got a wicked burger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're going like way back with say like the 50s style type of diner.
Yeah.
You can go get yourself a kick-ass milkshake and you can still buy beer there and everything else. But
cool.
So we did 2 of those. I got to be a part of a lighting installation in one of the ATB banks here, and it's from a company called Brainlit. Brainlit is a company that's putting out a new product called biocentric lighting. Biocentric lighting changes its color spectrum throughout the day to work with human circadian rhythm. So everyone's circadian rhythm is a bit different. I know I had to Google it too. So what happens is in the morning, it's an orange yellow light, and as you get through the day, it gets more blue white, and then it's really, really white in like height of the day. And then at nighttime, it's sun setting and it's orange yellow once again.
Okay.
So that works with human circadian rhythm and your sleep patterns and helping people get sleep. And they've proven that proper sleep helps with all sorts of mental health issues.
Okay.
So
and I had no idea that lighting was so closely tied to that.
So we are spending more time inside than anyone else in indoor environments under, while we're getting rid of a lot of these fluorescent lights. But like that's such shitty lighting. But even wrong color spectrum can throw your circadian rhythm off and cause people to go into a tailspin and they don't even know why. So they're saying, and so this company's out of Sweden, and I got to be a part and lead hand in the very first installation of its type in Canada.
Get out of here.
Yeah, just somehow I'm just a lucky guy that gets to be in the right place at the right time. The lighting company that had the rights to distribute this brought in people from Grand Prairie, Edmonton, Red Deer, and Calgary. So he's covering all the major markets, and we all learned how to do it and collaborate together.
I remember you telling me about this when you first got involved.
Yeah. So that was hands down one of the coolest lighting projects I've ever done. It was one room, and doing the wiring and the lighting was pretty simple, but the programming and the control is where it's all at.
Yeah.
And it's still there and still functioning as far as I know. But yeah, that's absolutely amazing.
What I find interesting about you and I, when we were talking about doing this podcast series, was your passion for lighting, which surprised me.
Yeah.
I know you're an electrician, but you were commenting, there's a reason why you were so excited about lighting projects.
Yeah. So as an electrician, you're very mandated. It's very repetitive. There are certain rules that you have to do, and it's over and over and over again, the same thing, but not with
Trust
lighting.
me, I know I've had you at my place. So
yeah.
to try to unbreak all the rules that were broken by the,
they were pretty creative there. But lighting is one of the most creative things that you can do in my trade. It's not just putting a light up and illuminating a room anymore. You can make a room look great by its dark shadows and its light spots.
Okay.
And all of its shade in between, and then the colors that come with it. LED have opened up a whole new world of lighting that you don't need to be a professional anymore. You can have things that switch, change. LED soffit lighting that goes on the soffit of your house, the permanently installed Christmas lights. We do that as well. And that's just an app. You can have any color of Vegas style kind of show going on. In your, you can
we'll talk
order
a
them
little
on
bit
Amazon.
more about that.
Yeah.
Actually, in the last episode,
for sure,
episode number 3.
No, it sounds great.
But that's interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, the lighting I just find is really creative. I love going in and talking about different lighting. Like I touched on basements, and it's also something I like to do. I think they're really fun, and you can make an amazing place, but you need good lighting there.
Yeah.
They're not naturally lit.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
so you can backlit, front lit, down light, up light. There's so much you can do to create a room or make a room or create an atmosphere or a feeling just through lighting. And it took me years to really understand what that was and how to kind of facilitate that. But, choices on your LED, choices on your fixture and aiming and color, all of it. Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about some of the more interesting commercial projects that you've done. Do you want to highlight one in particular? Not a difficult one, but more like what's one of your interesting projects?
Boy, there's a few. We did the renovation for the Creative Hive on the West End.
Yeah.
And everything that they wanted in that space goes against everything we learned as electricians. Yeah. They wanted everything run surface. They want it to look rough. They want it to look
really okay.
They want the cables attached to the wall. I'm like, that is not what we're taught. Like, we need everything to be clean, tidy, right angles, and they wanted it rough, shaggy, and then they just whitewashed the whole living daylights out of the place. And so that was neat, and it finished well. We got into the RCMP project, which we navigated.
You and I have talked about that. That was an interesting project because
it's still going on.
Okay.
But that's just certain specs and, getting extremely specialized equipment, but, navigating the rules around that and the security stuff and then learning kind of how to work with the RCMP, because there's a lot of rules and a lot of spec that goes with it. So from a commercial standpoint, that has been a fun one. In the beginning was challenging, I'm not going to lie. But now that we're rolling and we've been through all the red tape and whatever, it's become pretty fun to deal with.
So we've dealt with the fact that you have a service side of the business.
Yeah.
You have a residential side of the business, which is quite healthy. And you've really expanded the commercial side of Trifecta Electrical Solutions over the last, 4 or 5 years, right?
Yeah.
That's really built up.
About 3 years. Yeah. Yeah. We've got on with some builders and we get a lot of repeat clientele that way. Once you know how it is, once you get relationships going and people trust you and they get to know you, you can be a couple hundred higher than the next guy, but they know that you're going to deliver and you're going to, do quality work.
They would rather have you and know that the job's done properly and done well than take their chances on saving a couple of bucks.
Yeah. With a stranger,
exactly.
Someone that's unproven. So that's been fantastic there.
So we've touched on the service industry. We've touched on the fact that there's a healthy residential business for Trifecta Electrical Solutions, and now the commercial side is building up as well. And if you need any information, hit the webpage trifectaelectrical.ca. The next episode, our final episode, we're going to wrap up with the warranty, talk a little bit about hiring and how difficult that is, especially in today's climate.
Yeah.
So we'll be back with that.
Fantastic.